keep quiet. It's online.
Abwera ba.
Yeah, na bwera.
Mwaza.
Na bwera. Mamagaliti.
Kani mmachedo kuti mukumwa tea?
Mesa ninadena kuti tea break.
Ndemo nakafotokoza bwino bwino ndefese basaba tukamwata.
Ninalemba ku Jeni inu, ninalemba ku WhatsApp na nuso inu.
I'm not on the group.
Okay. Chabwino, let's continue. Let me get back the file. Sorry? Yeah, so GNP is basically the value of all final goods and services produced in the economy in a given period of time. And these are produced by the resources of the country. So the factors of production have to belong to the country, to Malawians. That's the difference between gross national product and gross domestic product. Gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is the value of all goods produced within the boundary of a country, regardless of who is producing them. So it could be a foreigner, we will count that. It could be foreign capital, it could be foreign businesses, entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter, provided those products have been produced within Malawi. So it will be gross domestic product for Malawi. Gross national product, on the other hand, only refers to products produced by Malawians. So what you do is from gross domestic product, you subtract all the goods that have been produced by foreigners, foreign capital, foreign entrepreneurs. The answer you get is gross national product. But then you should add to that what Malawians have produced abroad. So a Malawian company operating in Zambia, you will count that profit that they make there. Okay. Gross domestic product is the value of all that has been produced within the boundary of Malawi, within the boundary of the country in a given period of time. So maybe it's a year. And it doesn't matter who has produced that cement. It doesn't matter who has produced that maize. It doesn't matter, provided it has been produced in Malawi. That's gross domestic product. Now, gross national product only looks at products that have been produced by Malawians, by citizens of that country in a given year, for example. So what do you do? Once you know your gross domestic product, you subtract things that have been produced by foreigners or foreign capital or foreign enterprises. Remember, before I continue, remember that the factors of production are 4. So these have to be Malawians: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. And we know what these factors of production are paid when you use them. So for land, it's rent. For labor, it's wages and salaries. For capital, it's interests. For entrepreneurship, is profit. So when we say we count what foreigners have contributed to an economy and remove that from gross domestic product, what we mean is, for example, if it is foreign capital, what is the interest paid? If it is foreign enterprise, what was the profit? Okay? If it is labor, you'll be looking at what salaries did you pay to these expatriates? People who are working here, but they are not Malawians. What salaries they are getting? That you reduce from your gross domestic product in order to find gross national product. Any question there? Are you understood now or not?
Ndamva. It's okay. Let's go.
Okay. Good. Now, when we say we add what Malawians have produced abroad, what we mean is we are not, for example, if a Malawian company has opened a factory in Zambia to produce cement, we are not saying that we will count the cement that will be produced in Zambia. No. What we will be counting is the profit that that person will make. That profit belongs to Malawi because it was foreign entrepreneur. It was our Malawian entrepreneur, our Malawian skills, which generated that profit, which was paid that profit. I hope that makes things easier. So for example, in Malawi, in most cases, I think in real life, we do not have a lot of companies that are operating abroad. We have some. For example, I think Nico has got branches in Tanzania, Uganda, and other places. First Merchant Bank, this Capital Bank now. That one, I think I know they have a branch in Botswana. If they make profit there, that would be included. But in general, the Malawi economy has a negative inflow in that sense. We have more foreigners who are working here. We have more foreign companies who are which are generating profits in Malawi. So our national product becomes greatly affected when you consider that a lot of these factors of production that are being used in producing goods and services in Malawi are not owned by Malawians. In general, other countries, their gross national product becomes far much higher than the gross domestic product because of the export of resources, export of capital and enterprise. Now, another aspect that you need to get very clear about is the aspect of final goods, the value of final goods and services. Remember, we are saying gross domestic product is the value of all final goods and services. Same thing with GNP. We said it was the value of all final goods and services produced. Okay? So this issue, this aspect about final goods and services is to make sure that we do not double count. what the country has produced. So, for example, let's say we are looking at production of bread. If we count the wheat that Malawi has produced, and then we say we add the bread flour that Malawi has produced, then we say we add the loaves of bread Malawi has produced, we will be double counting. So the idea is, what we mean by double counting is that the value of wheat has been already incorporated in the value of wheat flour. And the value of bread is already incorporating the value of wheat and bread flour. So you cannot count each of these stages of production as a contribution to the production of goods and services. So we have to look at the final goods and services, things that are ready for consumption, that are ready for use in your home or in your place of work. So that's the final, not things that are gonna be used to produce others. So for example, intermediate goods, goods that will be used to produce another good, inputs. So we need to be very clear when we go into the actual measurement of this GDP or GNP. And that brings us to the concept of value added. We can, if we wanted to look at each stage, we can use the approach called the value added. What have you added, for example, to the wheat in order for you to produce wheat flour? What have you added to the value of wheat to make wheat flour? And what have you added to the wheat flour for you to make bread? So you can use the approach of measuring the production of this wheat industry. You can use it by capturing each stage. That's one approach. The other approach is just look at the value of bread. That will be measuring final goods and services, bread. But if it was more convenient for you, you could use the value-added approach. And the answer should give you the same. If you added up the value of wheat plus what was added to wheat to make bread or to make flour, plus what was added to flour to make bread. If you add those up, they will be equivalent to how much you are selling bread. I pause there. Any question?
Chizira, my example, some immediate goods in the done.
Intermediate goods. Yeah, intermediate goods are goods that you use. For example, flour is an intermediate good.
All right.
Yeah, because you don't eat bread flour or wheat flour on its own.
Okay.
You buy.
So you mean that have been processed?
Product. So it's not yet finished. It's not yet in a finished form of product. Any other question? Now, national income accounting basically is about measuring these figures, the GDP, GNP, and things like that. You are accounting for national income. Now, why do we call it national income? National income is similar to let me put it this way. If you are a farmer, what you produce is what will generate your income. So you are a maize farmer. You have produced 100 bags of maize. That's your product. That's your production. Now, that will determine what income you will make. What will you make out of this business is the total revenue that you will have. So 100 bags times whatever price per bag, that will give you your income. So you as a farmer, but you are not alone. Remember, there are many producers, many sellers, many suppliers. So when we add all of you up, we have what we call national production or national income. Okay? Now, there are a number of concepts that derive from this study of what is the total production, what is the total income. One is what we call economic growth. Economic growth is the increase in output over a given time period for a country, for example. So what is the economic growth of Malawi? So when we say economic growth of Malawi, what is it? What we mean is, so for example, our GDP was 100 last year. This year, it is 120. There has been a growth in our GDP. There has been a growth in our GNP, for example. So this growth in output or in production is called economic growth. So just as companies do the same, countries do the same. Just as families do the same, countries do the same. You at your family level, you can see whether you have made progress from last year to this year. Or over the last 10 years, how have you grown in terms of the salaries you make, in terms of the production you have been doing. You can see whether there is some progress or not. So this is not only for a country, but you can do this for businesses, you can do this for families, you can do this for almost most of these business units that we have been studying. So businesses also look at turnovers every year. They look at profit every year, how it is growing. Okay, remember that these factors of production are paid based on what they are. So businesses, they are there to generate profit because they are enterprises. So their income is from profits. You, as an individual, you may be working for some unit. You may be working on your own. Whatever salaries you get, that's your income. Remember, this income is the same as what a farmer gets when they sell what they have produced. We also talk about their income, farmers' income, production income. You go to work for somebody, for another company, whatever you do there, whether you are producing cement, whether whatever, you get paid for your contribution. Now, it is very common for countries to measure their performance based on GDP. So that's why you see a lot of debates about, oh, the economy of Malawi is not growing, or GDP growth in Malawi has been only 1%. You know, it's a measure of performance. It's a measure of performance. Now, there are a number of problems with this kind of measurement. We are looking at a country as a whole. We are not looking at how much Francis has developed or the well-being of Mr. Rwazi or the well-being of Kavage or whatever, or Preston. We are looking at the national. It doesn't tell us how well individually we have been doing. So, for example, the Malawi economy might have been growing. The GDP might have been increasing every year. Production and income has been increasing every year. But that does not mean that your well-being or my well-being has been going up or not. Anybody with any questions so far? There are a number of things that we need to ask when we are looking at whether the growth of the Malawi economy in itself is a good measure of how we are doing. Come on. Because there are a number of things that we must look at. So, for example, what about the welfare of Malawians in terms of cost of living? Have Malawians experienced a better standard of living? Could it be, were costs down or were they up? Was the output this GDP we're talking about? Because remember, we are saying the money value. Let us go back and see where this thing is being talked about. So it is market value. So it's, for example, gross domestic product is the sum of the money values of all final goods and services produced in a domestic economy during a specific period of time. Okay?
Sir, sorry. Problems of national income.
This one, you are able to see this slide, right?
Hey,
we are saying that GDP is
Sawa.
money values of final
Sawa.
goods and services. Meaning
Sawa.
that when we say
Yes, sir.
Malawi has produced so much maize or so much cement, we are not, we do not put that statistics in terms of bags of maize or bags of cement. We put it in terms of Malawi kwacha. Okay? So it's the money value. Now, what we are saying is that, fine, this measures whether a country is progressing or not in terms of whether it is increasing its production over a period of time. So over 10 years, how has been Malawi producing in terms of money values for maize, money values for cement? Now, it is a measure of economic performance. Now, we are saying that there are problems with this because, one, it doesn't mean that because we have been producing more and more maize every year, the lives of Mr. Rwazi and Mr. Msisha have improved. That is not true. So if we are saying the economy of Malawi has grown, does it mean that our living standards have also improved or not? So one factor is that, remember, these are money values. So it's possible that we are saying Malawi has produced maize worth 2 billion last year. This year it has produced maize worth 3 billion. Does it mean that we are producing more maize? It could be yes or no. Because sometimes it could be that it's only the prices which have gone up. So the price of the production of maize probably was the same last year as in this year. Only that maybe maize last year was 30,000, this year it is 40,000. Okay, so that's what I wanted to us to check. So, for example, issues of whether it is the maize which has gone out, is it the output which is up, or is it the market prices which have gone up? The same thing whether you are looking at incomes of businesses, you would also be looking at whether things are going well, or is it that maybe profits are just poor or profits are just better? We will not know why profits are better now than they were last year. Remember, the factors of production are paid according to what we have defined. So if we are saying income has improved for businesses, we are talking about profits. Okay. So what are the importances of these national income figures? Is basically to know how you are doing every year, whether you are growing or you are not growing. And the other thing is it can help you pursue policies that will lead to more growth or support sectors that are growing, that have potential to grow, or support sectors that look weak. So for example, what we're talking about here is that the GDP, the way it is found, the total is the addition of all these products that you have made, that you are producing. So you are adding rice, you're adding beans, you're adding cement, you're adding electricity, you're adding, you know, all sorts of things to come up with GDP for Malawi. So some sectors, if you go at each sector level, you will see that some sectors are growing faster than others. Some sectors are contributing more than others. So if you have time, go on the NSO website, National Statistical Office website, and type in GDP for Malawi. You will see the sources. There are also sources there, so they will have like agriculture, they will have like trading, they will have like energy, you know. You can see which sector is producing more, is contributing more to the GDP of Malawi. And which sectors have a potential, for example, in terms of, you can look at the historical growth, yeah? Let's say, let's give an example of, let's say, fishing. Fishing has been adding so much every year. And the growth in fisheries sector is exponential. So you can see, okay, this sector, if we put in more resources, the economy might actually grow more because it is showing that it has potential to grow more. So this GDP can also help because then you can go into various sectors and see the various performance of each sector. So you can devise policies, the government can devise policies to support each sector. We have less than 1 minute to go again. Before we can finish this, we need to schedule another meeting, but maybe we can find another time later on today if you guys agree. So that we make some more progress, we finish off this chapter and go on to the other things that relate to this issue of GDP. Yes,
So,
anybody with any suggestion?